Our quest is at an end.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time. My name is Gareth and this is Books, Songs and Other Magic, and this video is the end of the year book tag. So I think I've done this tag before, can't remember, but yeah, it's a really good tag when you can reflect over the year and maybe look at next year as well. And I've talked about some of these things recently, but not all of it, and I'm trying to make it a bit different as well by expanding a little bit on a few of the questions. So yeah, it's a really good tag. I wasn't tagged by anybody, but I wanted to do it, and the originator of the tag I think has been lost to oblivion. I think this is one of those tags that nobody knows the originator, I think. So apologies if that's not true, but that's what I think is the case. So end of the year tag. There's 6 prompts, and I'll tag some people underneath once I've done those 6 prompts. The first prompt is, are there books that you started earlier in the year and didn't finish? Yes. So there's 3. I couldn't find them actually, which is typical. I'm going to put the covers there because I can't find them. So the first one is that I'll talk about a DNF. I recently DNF'd Stephen King's Eyes of the Dragon. It's not that I won't ever read it, so I'm not going to get rid of it, I don't think. Or if I do get rid of it, it'll be because it's easy to find again. Although I do like that particular New English Library version. But yeah, I just wasn't feeling it, and it was getting in the way of other Stephen King reads. I just thought I'd shelve that for a minute. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a favourite of mine by him. But anyway, yeah, I left that one. So I DNF'd that. Secret History, I started it and I was actually quite enjoying it. But then, because of reading events, I put a hold on it. I only read about 25, 30 pages or something. And I could see that I quite liked the rhythm and the tone of it. So I thought, yeah, I can get into this. But I stopped. So that was like an accidental DNF. So we'll get back to Secret History probably next year. And then the other one is The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. The first book on my ill-fated, what do you call it? Book club on this channel. It just didn't happen, did it? I failed on the first hurdle. The first book, didn't finish it. I've still got it. I'm still going to, it's a reread as well. I'm still going to reread it. And I'm going to get to these other ones, like Why We Sing and stuff like that. Oh, there's a secret. There it is. Yeah, a Secret History. So this is there. Whoop. So yeah. I did start that, so I will get back to it. But yeah, Why We Sing's one of them. There's a few there that I'm supposed to be reading for that book club. Second one, an autumnal book to transition you into winter. I don't really get that. I don't really read books seasonally. I do read books certain times of the year because of the way BookTube works. And, you know, we've got Horror Mayhem and we've got June on the Range and we've got... I personally am now doing... favouring fantasy in February in honour of Scott from the Bookish Bryants. But yeah, I don't really, that's the only real limits I can think of. I don't, oh, and Garb August, I always take part in Garb August, but I don't do it because of the seasons. I don't really understand that. So yeah, not really sure about that. One day I might get it and then do it. I don't know. The third question is there a new release that you're still waiting for? So I'm going to do 2 different definitions of waiting for. One of them is that it's already out and I'm waiting to have it, to read it. So there's something that's just come out and I'm going to put that on my Christmas list, which is Claire North's new book. Oh God, what's it called? Small Gods? Is it called Small Gods? I don't know, it's there. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, definitely excited about that because she's one of my favourite authors and I read... The only thing I haven't read is her Greek stuff. That she brought out, but all her other things, I just love them, absolutely love them. So, yeah, I'm excited for that, and I'm glad she's gone back to science fiction. And the other thing is I'm waiting for it to be released, so that's going to be released in 2026, and that's Children of Strife by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So, 4th one in the Children of Time series. So, I've done videos about the Children of Time series, so check them out if you're curious. But Children of Strife... I'm definitely going to be looking forward to and definitely going to read, and we'll see where he takes this story next. I didn't think there was going to be a 4th one, but there we are. I did hear rumours, actually. I did hear that he was thinking of that, but I mean, the third one was it went in the direction I wasn't expecting. But yeah, the fourth prompt is 3 books you want to read before the end of the year. All right, so what I'm doing with this one, to make it a little bit more interesting, because I've talked about both of them, I've talked about 2 of them in quite a detailed way on the channel already, and the other one someone else has talked about. So I'll talk about those first, now I'm going to talk about some others. So the next one on my Ray Bradbury deep dive is this one, and I think I will read this before the end of the year. So, Small Assassin, the next one on the readathon, they're short stories, and a lot of them have been in previous volumes as well, which is going to be a massive thing later on in the other anthologies that come out later in his life, because they keep republishing stories in different anthologies. But this is definitely one that's got lots of repeats. Small Assassin, I talked about it in one of the early videos. So yeah, this is the next book, and I really love this cover, even though it doesn't really relate to the story really. But yeah, that one is definitely something I've got on my immediate radar. Also, I have talked before about how I'd love people to join me in reading West of Eden by Harry Harrison. This is a story that hypothesizes that the dinosaurs didn't die out, and they became they evolved into something much more sophisticated and kind of evolved like humans evolved and that kind of thing. So yeah, an intriguing premise by the classic Harry Harrison. And then another book for these first 3 is a book that I'm buddy reading with Gavin from Genre Books, and that's Joe Haldeman's The Accidental Time Machine, which I have read some of, but I didn't finish it. So that was years ago, so I'll be reading it fresh. Joe Haldeman's really good, so yeah, there's that one. And then I wanted to just go through a few that I'd like to, that are kind of like hovering away, like I'm going to read them soon. So I've talked about Planetfall by Emma Newman before. I definitely want to read that. It became a series, but when this first book came out, everyone praised it and said it was brilliant. I remember it coming out, and definitely want to read that. So that could be in the next couple of months. This new one I bought, Space Brooms. I bought this a while back now, but it looks like a lot of fun. So I would like to read that. And now I think, actually, I should have checked this out before I did this video. I think this is one of the ones I committed to reading in the next 90 days. I did a video a few weeks ago where I committed to 4 books in the next 90 days, and I think that's one of them. But yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. So Space Brooms is one I'd like to read. I'll stick on science fiction for a second for a couple more, and we'll talk about these other ones. So I keep floating this around the house in different TBR piles. I really need to sit to read Earthworks. So yeah, classic Bruce Pennington cover, of course. And this is one that I definitely want to read. It keeps popping up in different parts of the house because I really want to read it. Where Late the Sweet Bird Sang, which is really quite a beautiful title, but it's a very celebrated science fiction book, so that's one I definitely want to read. And yeah, I won't read the back because I'll do that later, I think. But yeah, if you know this book and you want to buddy read it, or if you've already read it, please say something about it in the comments. But this is the most famous Kate Wilhelm book, and it's definitely something I want to read. And then talking about some other things, I'm putting Tarzan and the Apes back on the top of the TBR pile, so I'd like to read that, the first Tarzan book. And since I've had this, I've read other Edgar Rice Burroughs books and really enjoyed them, so that's a thing. That's the next Steinbeck book I think I'm going to read. I keep again floating this around the house, and definitely want to read that. Sweet Thursday. It's a follow-on from Cannery Row, which is a book I really love, so that's another one I'd like to read. I've got 2 Saramago books here that, again, I want to... I'd like to read this one before the end of the year, Cain, which is his controversial retelling of some of the biblical characters, and in a kind of a fantasy kind of way as well, because some of it doesn't work timeline-wise, but he's kind of takes liberties to make a point about the Bible and religion and God. And Seeing is another one that I'd like to read, because I've wanted to read this so long, for so much for so long. It's a bit stupid that I still haven't read it. So Seeing it's a book that hypothesizes there's an election and nobody votes, and what the government does after that to try and deal with complete apathy. And then a couple more. I'll mention the fact I did a video recently where I was thinking I'd got all those crime books, what am I going to read? And S.A. Cosby is at the top of the list. So I do need to read a second book by him because I love the first one I read, Razor Blade Tears. And this is the one that I'm kind of playing with. It's a lovely, floppy, nice textured cover. So I do like the physicality of that book as well, actually. And then one last one, Son of Harpo Speaks, Bill Marks. So Harpo's son, talking about his dad. Again, I've mentioned this on a few times on the channel, and I need to read it because it's frustrating me that I haven't read these books. So that's that question. I wanted to kind of add a few more that I hadn't spoken about for a while. Some of those I have spoken about, but not for a while. And the fifth question is there a book, sorry, is there a book that could be a favourite book of the year? Yeah, there is. I do think, I mean, who knows? It could be Space Brooms. You know, I am very happy to talk about fun, adventure, humorous books being like 5 stars and best of the year, stuff like that. I don't have to go on about, oh, well, it's not Chaucer, but I'm not that kind of reviewer. But from what I hear about it, I think possibly the most likely one to take over all the other potential contenders for the list could be that one, West of Eden. I'm very hopeful about that. So we'll see. There's that one. And then the last question is, have you made plans for 2026? Yes, there are ongoing projects in 2026, which I talked about in another video about the banned books and the Ray Bradbury stuff. And some of the other projects are concluding, and I will carry on doing other elements of the Twilight Zone once the Twilight Zone original series thing's finished. And I'm going to tackle a new way of looking at albums and lyrics as well. But for new projects, I am going to start looking at Richard Matheson in a more detailed way. And I'm going to start looking at 2 authors in 2026 that are mainstays throughout my life, but I want to reread them in more detail to reevaluate how I feel like them in my 50s. So Charles Bukowski is one of them, and I think I'm going to react differently to how I did in my late teens, early 20s, I think. So Charles Bukowski, I'm doing a rediscovery of him. And also, even though I think this is less risky, if you like, I don't necessarily know that I'm going to change my mind about him, but I'm going to do a more thorough rediscovery of Harlan Ellison as well. So some of the stuff I haven't read for quite a while, although there is a 10 favourite short stories video coming up on the channel soon. My 10 favourite short stories by Harlan Ellison. That's coming up soon. And also there's the Ursula K. Le Guin series that's starting, like a readathon that's starting in January. We're reading every Hainish book, and there's a few people involved in that. So again, when we get closer to that time, I'll ask everyone to remind me who they are, and you know, we'll get that going in January. So that'll be really good. So that's another project. And so there's a few really exciting things happening in 2026, and you'll notice something else, some book reviews that I'm looking forward to you seeing in 2026 as well. Kind of mainstays in my collection, if you like. So not necessarily books I've just read, but books that have always meant a lot to me. So that's another thing. So those are the prompts. I will tag some people below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and please make a comment about those things I mentioned. And thank you so much, and I'll see you again. Stay curious, everybody.